Hey, we're live.
Hello.
All right. It's Thursday. It's Bad Batch Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's Meet the Bad Batch.
It's Meet the Bad Batch. Okay. This is a good one. We're going to get ready to talk about
this
episode.
This is riveting television.
Yes, episode number 12.
The
Outpost. Now, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, I'm Kerwin. This is Keith. We are Father.Son.Galaxy. If you're new, you're watching us for the very first time, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We just love to have you contribute, send in your questions or comments. We are live. Yes, we're live, so anything can happen. So let's get it started.
Yeah, should have seen last night.
You should have seen last night. It was interesting. All right. So speaking of last night, so we did the review of episode 2 of The Mandalorian, right? There are a couple of things I forgot to cover, so I want to just get.
So we're gonna run into our Bad Batch time, so you can cover.
Well, we got plenty. No, we got plenty.
Hey, everyone, we're gonna run into our Bad Batch time, so we can recap some things my dad forgot last episode.
Well, okay. Well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what I wanted to do, well, two things. I wanted to say something about the director of the episode. Her name is Rachel Morrison. Rachel Morrison is actually a cinematographer. I think this is the first time that she's done a directing job. But I wanted to talk about Rachel because she is very popular and she made history a few years ago, and I'll tell you how.
Tell us how.
She has done she's a cinematographer for 2 of Ryan Coogler's movies in the past. One was called Fruitvale Station and the other one called Black Panther, right? Which, she was nominated for an Academy Award. Actually, she was not nominated for Black Panther, but there was a movie that a photograph called Mudbound, where she was actually nominated, the first female nominated for Best Cinematography. So, that's pretty cool. And she also knows the executive producer, Rick Famuyiwa, because she also was a cinematographer for his film called Dope. So I just thought
that's dope.
Yeah, that's dope. So I just wanted to mention that because, she did a fantastic job on episode 2. We're still talking about it today. We're not going to go much into it.
The Minds of Mandalore.
The Minds of Mandalore. Now, and the other thing we wanted to do is if you wanted to get some information and just learn, we were talking about Bo-Katan's history. If you wanted to see some past episodes to learn more about Bo-Katan and what we talked about, so we'll put all these episodes in the bottom of in the description page. Mm-hmm. It's Clone Wars season 5, episode 15 called Shades of Reason, and 16 called Lawless, which that is the story of how Death Watch and Maul take over Mandalore, right?
Yes.
In season 7, this is the last season of the Clone Wars, episodes 9, 10, and 11. Those are 3 episodes where meaning the Jedi and Bo-Katan are trying to remove Maul from power because he still is in charge of Mandalore. All right, so watch those episodes. And then on Rebels, season 3, 2 episodes. Episode 15, Trials of the Darksaber. That is where Kanan is actually training Sabine to use the Darksaber that she found on Dathomir. And then episode 16, The Legacy of Mandalore, where Sabine actually gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan.
Yes.
So that is
so
really
she
cool
can rule Mandalore.
She can rule Mandalore, right? And the episodes for season 7, episodes 9 is called Old Friends Not Forgotten. 10 is Phantom Apprentice, and number 11 is Shattered. All right, wonderful. Okay, let's get into episode 12. Okay.
All right. I'm already winded, and we haven't even gotten to the start of the episode.
Yeah. Where do we start? First of all, this episode is directed by Jennifer Corbett, right? She is, yes, you actually, when you were at
had the pleasure of meeting her.
Yeah, we had a photo that you had a photo taken with 3 of the.
Wish you were there, Dad.
No, well, it's fine. It's fine. So Jennifer Corbett is the writer of this episode. Well done episode. One of the things as a writer, when you're writing a character that is evil, right? You want to make sure that people really know that this character is evil, and this character can be, very diabolical and disrespectful to other people. And when she wrote this episode, the villain of this episode actually is Lieutenant Nolan, right?
Yes.
Who is the commanding officer.
And he ran his mouth.
Right.
He was popping off at the mouth the entire
from the
episode.
very beginning. So
and then Crosshair had to pop off on him.
Okay, right. Yes, yes, literally. So
Pop, pow.
when you're writing, when she wrote this episode, she needed to make sure nailed it that this person was not to be trusted, very disrespectful, and just looking at some of the things that he said,
and how much disdain he had for the clones.
He hates the clones. This character, Lieutenant Nolan, and is voiced by Crispin Freeman, who is a voice actor. He's actually done voice acting for anime. He would be the English dubbed version of the anime episodes. So he's been around for a little bit. So again, Lieutenant Nolan is Crosshair's commanding officer, and the things that he's very sarcastic when they're talking about clones. One of the things he said was, "Fantastic, more clones. I don't like used equipment." That's how he talks about clones.
And he's like, "Your failings will be dealt with later."
Right.
Listen here, clone. You speak to me with respect.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So off the bat, we knew that this guy was going to be trouble, and he'd be lucky enough to even make it out of this episode. So we'll get there. So basically, the episode is Crosshair is watching the clones. We know that at this point the clones have, they're being replaced. Without a doubt.
Clones are being phased out.
They're just telling these clones goodbye. We don't need your service anymore, and they're wondering, well, what do we do now? I mean, we're soldiers now. Now what? Oh well, take it up with the Empire. Thank you for your service, but. Crosshair is still working for the Empire, and Nolan takes him and tells him about this outpost on another planet. It's called Barton 4 to find some stolen cargo.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. So they fly out there to Barton 4, and Barton 4, the planet is very unstable. It's snowy.
It's like blizzard-like.
Yeah, blizzard-like conditions. It's very,
except it's somehow worse.
Right. Yeah. So he does meet up with another clone. Actually, there were 3 of them at the time. There was more than 3. There was a squad of them, but
sadly, most of them were wounded.
Yeah.
And some of them were 6 feet under.
Right, and they passed away. So there was 3 clones. One of them was called Mayday. Right.
Yes, he was the lead clone.
Yes,
he was their leader.
Right,
and he's stuck with Crosshair for most of the episode.
Right. And, he understands that, he's been asking for help for what he said, quite a few number of rotations. Never got the help until now. And of course, Nolan is, the Empire moves.
Of course, it had to be him. It's like, you want help? Here, we'll send the most unhelpful person we can.
Right. He does nothing to help them at all. So it's really.
He just kind of sits there eating fruit like he's. I forgot this man's name already.
Nolan?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy with the burgers and the fries?
And, the guy who was eating 18 Whoppers at once.
Right, yeah.
Talk about Whopper.
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay. I will have to look up his name because I don't remember it either. So they go out. I think something like that. Yeah. So then they go off into this outpost, and they're out there looking to find out what happened to this equipment or these crates, and they were ambushed by these raiders. Okay, very good, Keith. They were ambushed by these raiders. There are these raiders out there that are taking these crates and stealing what's inside. The clones have no idea what's inside the crates, and then they find out that what is inside the crates are military equipment, right? Not for the clones.
For the Empire.
It's for the Stormtroopers. Exactly, right.
Not even for them, because Nolan kind of wants to get rid of them.
Right.
It's for the Stormtroopers who are going to replace them.
Right.
That's got to be cold when you're retrieving gear that's not even for you, but for the next generation of you, so they can kick you out faster.
Very good point.
Like that is cold.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And then that actually ties back to the episode from last week. Remember the Zillo Beast? About we were talking about the skin that they use for the Zillo Beast.
Totally armored.
Right. So I'm thinking that they probably use the skin to actually create some of this gear. right? I mean, it's top of the line. It protects the soldier underneath, and unfortunately, the clones never had that kind of equipment when they were battling in the Clone Wars, and and then they were
Would have been nice to
left
have.
out in the cold. I mean, literally. And now there's no need for them, and they're being replaced. All right, so
Okay.
let's stop here. Let's
check
go
out
to
the
Q&A. Alex,
it's an amazing episode. Hello, by the way.
hello.
Jennifer Corbett did a great job. I remember reading that she served in the military before, too.
That's actually true. Yeah, I've heard the same thing. She did
Really?
serve in. Yeah, she served in the military. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode felt pretty realistic at times.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think that she's using some life experience in this episode. So it was very nice. So we have SCI girl. Sci girl. Okay. All right. I was spelling it out. The reveal. How are you? The reveal of what was in the crates was heartbreaking. Yes. Right. Yeah. Just to know that this equipment was never provided to the clones.
It's never meant for them.
It was never meant for them. So they did get a chance. Nolan.
Yep. Nolan's
the definition of armchair general. Exactly right.
And Aiden, is this the best episode ever? You have a theory.
Yes, I do.
I do think this is the best Bad Batch episode so far.
So do I.
Out of the first and second seasons, this is the best because it's great television.
Well, I can only go as far as season 2 for now, right? There were really some great episodes of season 1.
Well, Camino lost.
Right, but in this season,
Finale.
It's a funny thing you bring that up, Aiden. So the last time we saw Crosshair was in episode 3, right? And now we see him again in episode 12. And it just so happens that episode 12 and episode 3 are 2 of the best episodes of the season, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. And it does. Yes. And it does involve Crosshair. Of
course it does.
Right. And then, we were talking about the picture with Jennifer Corbett. I don't know if you can see it on screen, but there they are. So that was backstage last year.
It's not up yet.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, it's up.
Yeah, there you go. So then, right. Yeah. So we got Brad Rao.
Wow, look how small we are.
There you go. Jennifer Corbett is over to the right, and there's Keith with thumbs up. So
I lost that shirt in elementary school in the 4th grade during summer camp.
Oh, interesting.
Never found it again.
Oh, that's too bad.
And I lost like half of those pins.
That's all right.
Or rather, they fell off.
Okay.
I still have most of them, though.
Mm-hmm.
I love those pins.
Yeah,
I cherish those.
Well, yeah, there were pins given out by other podcasters, right?
Yeah, so once I had one, just the floodgates open.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. That's what they do. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So we have Matt Mitchovich, we have Brad Rao, and Jennifer Corbett. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. So, all right. So getting back to the episode, I want to talk about Crosshair a little bit more. So I was saying that, Crosshair in episodes 3 and 12 are 2 of the best episodes of the season, in my opinion.
Funny that they both star Crosshair.
Yeah, right. And I'm wondering, Crosshair is a very, very deep, complex character. And it's not unintentional. I think it's on purpose that this character can actually carry an episode, right? I'm not saying I'm not taking anything away from
Crosshair and Cody. Yeah, were sharing their time.
Right. I'm not taking anything away from the rest of the batch, but something about Crosshair
really can keep a screen.
Yes, exactly. And it keeps my attention. I'll say this right now: Hunter is still my favorite Bad Batch character, but I think Crosshair is coming in as a close second. Yeah, I just enjoy.
But Crosshair was so dastardly in the first season. I didn't like him.
Right. No, yeah, you're right.
And then once we hit season 2, we got to see the more human side of Crosshair. The
like
side where he's still evil, but we get to see why and how.
Right. I like that. I like that point. Yes, he is evil. He was, and we thought that most of the time it had to do with the chip, and of course we found out it had nothing to do with the chip.
I had my chip removed a long time ago.
Exactly.
And it's like, holy moly!
Right. So, the decisions he made
are Skittles, man.
Is his own free will. So finishing up, all right, so they found the crates with the equipment. And then, an avalanche happens. And they're running for their lives. And now it's Crosshair and Mayday. They're running for their lives unfortunately, you can't outrun an avalanche. Like I know, I don't know. You can't outrun an avalanche.
Yeah.
And then
Have you ever been caught in an avalanche?
I plan not to be caught in any type of avalanche, but they were, unfortunately, and they were buried in the snow. But Crosshair was able to get himself out. Mayday could not.
Crosshair helped him.
Right, so Crosshair helped him, and then
But he's injured, by the way.
He's badly. Mayday is badly injured, and by the way,
Mayday needs Mayday assistance right now.
yes, he does.
Mayday, Mayday.
Yeah, there must be a reason why they gave him that name, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, Mayday actually, if you remember, saved Crosshair's life, right? Because remember,
Yes.
Crosshair was walking on a booby trap, and Mayday.
And then Mayday had to disarm it.
Right, exactly. So here's Crosshair's just returned the favor because this clone saved his life, and it's just the two of them out there. And Crosshair is, all right, come on, let's go. We're gonna make it out of here. And they're walking and walking and walking. And actually, when it's the next day, and they walk throughout the night, and then the next day they're still walking through this cold. They're shivering, and the wind is blowing, and then you can see these Empire ships overhead just passing them by like they're not even there,
Yeah, but they knew they were at the base by then.
Yeah, exactly. And then they had to wait until they got to the base, and unfortunately Mayday didn't make it.
Yeah, Mayday didn't get that Mayday assistance.
No. So I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about
and Crosshair. Well, let's just say Nolan is ancient history now, thanks to Crosshair.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna wanted to build up to that. So now,
too bad.
No, that's okay. The Vulture. All right. Let's talk about this Vulture. So what we know about vultures, right? There's this lone vulture that just circle around.
Ice vultures.
An ice vulture, right? Just circle around the area wherever Crosshair was. Right, you heard the screeching from the vulture, and so I was wondering, right, is there some kind of similarity between the vulture and Crosshair? Right, Mayday had a great line, and he said about the vulture is that it's let me see where my notes are. Vicious creatures, right?
It's at the bottom.
But you have to admire them because they know they
find a way to survive.
How about that, right? Okay. So I was thinking, okay, well, I could see that with Crosshair. I think Crosshair, is also a survivor, and he wants to figure out how to survive. And then the other thing about this bird is just free to go wherever it wants. And I think that's what Crosshair is striving for. He wants to have his freedom, but he also needs to earn that freedom, right? And to earn that freedom sometimes is you have to fight for it, right? And then this vulture, of course, is it's a meat eater, so it's going to do whatever it can to survive and attack, if need be. All right. So when Crosshair brings Mayday over to the base, and Crosshair is asking Nolan for help. He says, "Medic, we need a medic." Okay, and if you again about writing dialogue for a villain, it must be a lot of fun because listen to the lines that Nolan out of poor taste is saying to him. Crosshair is asking, for Nolan to help Mayday, and he says, you failed your mission. Helping a clone is a waste of the Empire's resources. He served his purpose. He is expendable, as are you. And then the last words that Nolan said, get back to work while you're still useful.
How about you take your own advice, buddy?
And that's
oh wait, you're not useful anymore.
Right, and that set Crosshair off. And then right before he even drew the blaster, that vulture circled again, right? And I'm sure Crosshair thought about what Mayday said about the vulture, about surviving, right? The vicious creature, Crosshair, right? But you have to admire them because they find a way to survive. And that's exactly what Crosshair was thinking at the time, right before he picked up that blaster and took out Commander Nolan. right?
Lieutenant.
Yeah. Lieutenant Nolan, right? Wasn't even commander. That's another thing too. So Commander Mayday, outranks Lieutenant, but Nolan wasn't having any of that. He works for the Empire, so he's above everybody else. So, but he got what was coming to him. So that's what happened.
He's kind of a pain.
Well, I mean,
correction, was kind of a pain.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right. Do we have comments? Okay. So Crosshair
is going to be a stormtrooper.
I never thought of that. Aiden.
Plausible.
He could be a stormtrooper. Well, okay, so let's find out because we know now.
Given Crosshair's reckoning right now,
right?
I don't think the Empire's going to let him because he just committed a war crime.
Exactly right. I couldn't see that on the resume of a stormtrooper that you took out a member of the
it'd be like dedicated soldier, many missions, killed the commanding officer.
Right, yeah, I don't know if that's going to look good on the resume.
Missions.
Yeah.
Imagine your hirer being like, okay, you have a lot of qualifications. Shot a commanding officer.
Yeah.
Now, come on, man.
Yeah, that's not going to go too far.
That's not going to go over well when you get hired for a job, or rather, don't get hired. Ooh.
All right, next one, Crosshair.
Crosshair has become arguably the most complex of the characters, and with an arc that's highly nuanced. His story has a depth that is simply wonderful to watch.
Yeah, exactly. We were saying that, something about this character that writers love to write about because, like I said, he was only in 2 episodes out of the 12 episodes that we've seen. And those 2 episodes are the best, in my opinion. So there's something, so this character is just very... He is very complex. He's a loner, but yet he has bad tendencies. You don't know if you can trust him, but you still root for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, remember
you can do that?
Remember in season 1 when they took out all those droids together in Camino?
Yes.
And then they escape together, and Crosshair's like, I'm going to wait for my Imperial Uber.
Right.
Instead of going there, we're like, Crosshair, get in the ship.
Right.
But
they didn't yell at him, but, they were encouraging him to get on the ship, and he didn't. Well, he made his own decision.
All right. Some nerd.
Yes.
It was definitely gratifying to see Crosshair so in pain, and then he just kills the lieutenant.
And this is the most vulnerable we've ever seen Crosshair. When he brought Mayday, and he's dragging him, and he's saying that he needs a medic, and you can see the look on Crosshair's face, like, are you going to help him? We need to do something,
Yeah, he's like, we can't just sit by.
Right, exactly.
This man's dying. He's a great soldier.
Yeah.
And Nolan's like, get back to work.
He's expendable. So what? Very, very, very emotional, right? Even for Crosshair, even seeing him that emotional. Yes, right. Very emotional.
You're a death trooper, Crosshair.
Yeah, but you fell for him. And then one other thing I want to mention about this episode is the music. Does Crosshair have a theme? Because there's this theme that kept recurring throughout the episode, right? When you first heard it, it was played on a piano, right? A couple of keys. Then I think I heard maybe a French horn, or the same variation of
French
the theme.
horn.
Yes, the same variation of a theme, right? And then maybe a synthesizer towards the end. So I'm wondering. The music is hauntingly. It's beautiful. It is, to me. It
Frankenstein.
No, it stood out to me. The music in this episode, the score stood out to me more than any other episode so far this season. So I'm wondering if that theme actually belongs to Crosshair, and I wish I could speak with Kevin Kiner and the family and to find out exactly what's behind that theme. It was wonderful. It was haunting. It was incredible. But yeah, so I love the music. The music in this episode was wonderful. The writing, once again, the acting by D. Bradley Baker. You just get you get the impression that D. Bradley, of course he does so many episodes, but there's something about him doing the Crosshair voice means something.
Crosshair voice gives chills.
It does, right? Exactly. And I recall that Oh, thank Lisa. Thank you. Sorry, I'm
Hello,
late. Not
sorry,
a problem. Yeah.
it's
So
all right.
we're
You catch
talking
us
about
on the
Crosshair.
replay.
So there, when we were doing our, we were doing our, waiting for season 2 to start, and we were doing a roundtable. We had a discussion with D. Bradley Baker, and there was a question that you asked about Crosshair, right? And what I want to do is, if you've not heard this interview, I want to play it for you now. If you heard it,
Yes.
if
We'd
you
like to
heard
play it for you.
it's really good because it really tells us exactly what we were hoping to see, or we were looking forward to seeing about Crosshair. We wanted to know, well, what was going to happen to this character, what was his fate. And here's a question that Keith asked actor D. Bradley Baker.
All right. Next, we're going to Keith and Kerwin with Father.Son.Galaxy.
Hello, D. How are you?
Hello, doing great. Hey, did
It's
I
great
see you
to
guys
see you
at
again.
Yeah, I saw you at Celebration, right?
Yeah, we did the
Oh.
interview.
Yes. Hello again. Hello again. Good to see you.
Can you do the record voice?
That's not a question.
Voice. Yeah. Next question.
Yeah.
Okay.
But our real question is about Crosshair. So we know that he's working for the Empire and that they phase out the clothes at some point. So is he aware of the Empire's plan to get rid of the clothes and replace them with Stormtroopers? Or does he think that he's too valuable for the Empire to replace him and that he's basically not going to be affected by their plan?
That's a very interesting question. Because Crosshair has thrown in with the Empire, hasn't he? And yet now he has to see how the consequences of his choices play out in the larger scope of things. So in terms of how that's going to play out, I mean, that's the interesting story that's been put into play, isn't it? Is that he's left his team, he's joined a larger team, and the question is, and that is dealt with very directly in the second season, is how does that play out? It's a very interesting question.
Thank you. We'll be sure to watch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Watching for you as well.
All right, yeah. So that was D. Bradley Baker. It was a fun interview. Of course he couldn't tell us too much about what was going to happen to Crosshair, but now that we see that, it looks like he's reached a turning point, Crosshair, and then this might be him coming back and actually maybe fighting to survive and maybe trying to save his brothers, the Bad Batch, along with Omega. All right,
Q&A.
Alex.
I like how the themes of this season, especially on dehumanization and blindly following orders versus standing against injustice and valuing life, has been tied in with Crosshair's arc.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah,
That's a deep question.
Yeah, very good. So then we're going to finish up, talking about the episode. So now, Crosshair has, taken out Lieutenant Nolan, and then he wakes up and he's on Tantus, right? At the science facility.
And they're experimenting on him.
Well, yes, right. So, and then he wakes up and he wants to know where he is. And then he meets a scientist. Her name is Emery. She works with Dr. Hemlock, who we saw in last week's episode. Yes, he's, very, very scary guy.
Creepy.
And we don't see him in this episode, but she says, okay, well, I'm going to take care of you. And then the doctor's going to come in to see you, which is interesting, right? Because you think the doctor would already be there to take care of you.
I mean, you think the doctor would want to get the first-hand tour.
Right, exactly. It's not like, oh, we'll take care of you first, and then the doctor comes in.
See, usually, if you're in a hospital, there will be a nurse who comes in first.
Yes.
Just to like make sure everything's well, and then the doctor comes in to do his analysis and maybe poke you with a couple of needles.
Yes, right. And
so, in the Empire, there should be a lot more needles.
Yes, exactly. So that's what she does. So she gives him a needle. I guess it puts him to sleep, and then that's how. And then the
Night-night.
last thing she says is,
Nighty-night,
you know,
Mr. Bunny Rabbit.
she says, cooperate and you might survive. Okay. You don't want to be in a hospital and then have somebody tell you if you cooperate, you might survive.
So I'm like, so there's a chance?
Yes, there's a chance
You're
that something
telling
could
me
happen.
me surviving
Yeah.
or not is left up to an RNG?
Yes. So
Random number generator.
we don't know what's okay. Very good. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen. So now, oh boy. So this is big.
Right.
What's going to happen across here? We don't know.
I think that's
we
it
don't
for
know.
the episode.
And then
I think that's it for the episode.
Well, yes, that is it for the episode. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. So now next week, so we'll be back, of course, you know, for Mandalorian season 3 on Mandalorian season 3,
Episode 3.
episode 3 on Wednesday. All right. And then
S2E2 was kind of funny too.
yeah, S3E3, right?
Yeah.
S3E3.
S1,
yeah.
S1.
Yeah.
I mean, S1E1,
Mm-hmm.
S2E2, S3E3.
That's right. So we'll be back on Wednesday.
S4E4.
We'll be back on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we'll be back for episode 13. All right. And that's called Pabu. Have no idea. Pabu. Right. So we don't know what Pabu is, but we'll find out. But we're getting close. So
that
then.
Person.
Right. And then you got 14. And then the last 2 episodes is
15,
actually
16.
a double episode. Right. So we're going to be wrapping up the Bad Batch by the end of March.
Yeah.
That'll be it. And then we'll have, you know, we'll finish up with the Mandalorian. So, but we're in a good place. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Let's wrap up.
All right. Let's wrap up. All right. Okay. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This, like I said, this is a very, very good episode.
It's a great episode.
One of the best. So thank you. Please tell people where they can find us, Keith.
Well, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts if you'd like to listen. Socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Father.Son.Galaxy. Our website is Father.Son.Galaxy.com. Our merch store is Father.Son.Galaxy.myspreadshop.com. And check out our Spreaker page as well.
All right. Thank you. All right. So until next time, take care, and we will see you again.
And we will see you again.